Hi, this is Gil Robles. I'm back working in Rebelle again. I'm doing a self-portrait once more because I found that when I was using the pencil tool a little while back, that there was settings for, besides there being settings for like the different grades like 2B, 4B, 6B, whatever there is there, I discovered that also there was a setting for charcoal pencil, and I thought this would be neat to try with the sliders, and the sliders will determine how smooth or how textured the stroke is, and so I'm going to use the pencil tool in conjunction with the blender tool and see how far I can get with this, and whether I keep using it with pastels and so forth, because I don't know. When I started this, I didn't know how far I would take this. Whether I would just draw with this uh, uh, with this pencil tool, with this charcoal at the charcoal setting, and then maybe just smudge it with the blender tool, which is what I'm using here. That's the tool highlighted on the left of the screen, right underneath the brushes there. And I was going to use this and then switch back and forth with that charcoal setting, and maybe just later on highlight it in white, or am I going to develop a more finished colored piece? But I didn't know what I was going to do. I was just playing around with this to begin with. I knew obviously I was doing a self portrait, which is great to do when I'm just playing around with the software to try and learn new things or figure out how we're going to use it, what I'm going to add to what I usually do with it. Um, so that's what I'm doing here. I also wanted to talk before I go on and talk about this painting and how's it coming out for me. I Just about the expectations for this channel. This channel is not about digital art or traditional art, or just as far as using the materials. I've had people told me they leave the channel or whatever because I have no more videos on a particular software. I'm not interested in doing that. I'm not an advertisement for a particular software or anything like that. Although I'm not promoting these softwares, but there's some that I prefer to use because, like this, Rebelle, there's certain characteristics that I enjoy about using the software. But I also love doing like my gouache sketches, or whatever comes to mind, because my thing is that I just want to do art. I don't want to promote products, and I'm don't want to limit myself to that. I want to be able to experience things and enjoy what I do and learn about different things, and it's not a matter of being current as much as it's a matter of improving myself. And I think the digital software is a good opportunity to do that. I think the traditional media, as far as like what I use gouache a lot here, or watercolor, or something like that, it's also continues to be a great way to learn, to improve as far as art is concerned. And actually, I think there's no better way than the traditional way. That may be me being more of old fashioned, or maybe just a matter of experience as well. That having had the experience of doing both, I know that when I go outside, or when I'm painting, that the information that I gather stays with me, so that I'm working, whether I'm working from photos or working from imagination, it helps informs the decisions that I make. Like here, when I'm doing this self portrait, one of the things that I wanted to do was, a goal in doing this was to continue to simplify the forms, the features, and so forth. and not get too much into details. How simple can I make this image? Was one of my goals. My other goal is also just to exaggerate certain things. Like I looked at this photo I had my son take of me, and I think I wanted to exaggerate that mustache. So I try, and I'm not talking about like really like give me a Yosemite Sam mustache or something like that. I'm just talking about simple, just making it look realistic as far and exaggerating certain features that I like that are appealing to me about the photograph. So I try to emphasize the shadow under the mustache. I try to simplify the details to keep those to a minimum, to see how much I really need to convey uh, uh, um, what I want in this image. So those are some of the goals I have when I paint this. But uh, and doing a self portrait is good for that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and speed this video up rather than talk throughout the whole thing, because it took me quite a bit to paint this. Actually, it took about just a little under 2 hours. But rather than talk for the 2 hours, or let you hear me talk for the 2 hours, I'm gonna speed this video up, and you can see the painting as it develops. Now I'll go ahead and add some commentary when I think it's necessary. All right. So this is the point where I had to make a decision. I've already introduced some grays, but I didn't introduce any color really. So, well, little hints of color here and there, like some of these grays tend to be a little bit more towards the warmer side. So I picked up a bit of the color there, a bit of the red and so forth. But I had to make a decision whether or not to continue in black and white, to or grayscale, or to go on and make this a color painting, and just start introducing some of the color. So I decided, let me go ahead and make this a pastel painting, and then there became a whole set of new challenges here. How to keep it from being so warm, because the photograph is mostly reds, and not a lot of cool colors. It's mostly a warm color. So I know that in life there's like a balance, and just for the sake of giving the painting some vibrancy, I want to be able to introduce something a little bit different. So some of the cooler spots in the paintings will uh, come from a lot of the grays, and little bit even the warm colors. Some of them I'm going to choose later on as I develop the painting are going to tend more towards the pinkish, or uh, kind of like a violet pink or whatever, where it gets a little bit cooler. Even though it's a red color, it has some of the blue in it. So I'm just going to play with the color as I go along, and I'm not going to stick too close to what's on the photo. I'm going to let some of what I know, some of my own ideas about what I've learned about color and painting from life, enter into what I do from here on as well. And a lot of it will be subtle. It's kind of hard to explain. It's not like I'm taking from the reference what I need, and adding little subtle things here and there, and deciding what to leave out as well. At certain points when I look back at this, there might have been like different areas of the painting where I think it would have been better to just stop at that point and go on and develop something else. So there's always a feeling that after I finish a painting, I always look at it and think about what I could have done better, or or just in terms of well, not in terms of this, because there's different things. There's always the drawing, what I could have done better as far as the drawing, or what I could have done better as far as what I leave out and what I put in, how much I emphasize some details, and how much and what I don't emphasize. So it's I give myself a little bit of a critique so that I could try and make the next painting that I do better. At some point, I have to call this finish, and move on, so that so at towards the end of this, I just decided that this was the best that I could have done at the time. As long I move on I'm satisfied with that. It may not be a Rembrandt, but it was the best that I could have done at the time. So at this point, the painting's almost finished. There are a lot of little subtle changes that I'm making at this point, and as far as the painting is concerned, but mostly it's finished. So even as I go on and make the corrections, and I'm looking at this in hindsight, a lot of this, there's some areas which wish I should have, I wish I would have left well enough alone, and that's especially around the eyes. I don't, I think, like right about here, I didn't need to put any go back into it. There's just enough information there. Now, one of the things is with working with the photograph that I have, I chose this. I had my son take this photograph, but I took it under a very specific light because I felt like this light broke up the features and the shadows. You know, the light and the shadows, that give me some very nice contrast to work with as far as the painting. So I chose where I was going to take this picture at because of the lighting, and it helps. You know, it helps to also uh, um, have it very small so that I won't get involved in the details, and that I would keep it as simple as possible with just the shapes that it, you know, that the light breaks the, you know, breaks the forms into. So if I'd have stuck more to those shadows and developing those as shapes rather than trying to get into the details, I think I'd have been a lot happier with the final image. I mean, I like the painting. Uh, um, there's always things that I felt like I could have done differently. Um, but you know, in hindsight, you know, when I'm looking at this video, I'm thinking of different areas that I could have left well enough alone. But I mean, that's in hindsight, and that's something that I take with me to the next painting. When you know, when I start another one, regardless of what medium I use, like I said, my work is not about the medium. Is just about me trying to be a better artist, me trying to draw better, paint better, see better, think through my paintings better. You know, just me being better at using the materials as well. And it doesn't matter to me what materials I use. All it matters to me is how well did the image come out, that whatever it is that I'm trying to paint. So, like I said, most of this painting is finished. As far as the face is concerned, the thing left to do is just these touches here and there, and whatever else I want to include as far as the jacket and the shirt and so forth, and touch up on the background as well. Alright, so like I said earlier, I wanted to introduce some cooler colors, and they'll be more in the way of like more grays and muted colors as I went along, and you see it a bit in the eyes, the brow area, the cheek areas, you know, and things like that. So I got what I wanted as far as that is concerned, and then of course trying to be as simple as I can with the feet, with the details, and so forth. And so it's always a trick of what to leave in, or tricky as far as what to leave in and what to leave out. And so I did what I felt was my best guesses at all of this. So all in all, I was pretty happy with the painting. It was a fun to experiment with the tools and stuff like that. I think that going forward, I could still push it more as far as making it look more and more like an actual pastel painting. But I do like the, you know, being able to play with the sliders and making smooth strokes and these textured strokes, especially you see it in the background, but and some in the portrait itself. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you gathered something from it, as well as just I want to invite you to join me on Patreon. If you like this channel, please consider supporting this channel. I have a Patreon site, and I will a Patreon page, whatever it's called, and I will leave a link below. Also, I have a number of videos on Gumroad that are more longer tutorials on different software, and also one at this point, just one, but there will be more on painting in gouache. So till next video, see you then. Bye bye.